Hello friends, my name is Taylor and today we're going to talk all about ejaculation. Specifically, we're going to look at yogic, tantric, and Taoist sexuality philosophies, and we're going to use those philosophies to help us answer the question, how often should you ejaculate? So if you're a guy like me, chances are you've ejaculated a few thousand times in your life, at least. And if you're in your mid-20s to your mid-30s, you might be starting to ask the question, how often should you ejaculate? Is too much of a good thing too much? Are there downfalls to this? Or is there a benefit to ejaculating less? Yes, there is an answer to this question. And I call it the IEF. I've become a fan of acronyms recently. And to me, this is the Ideal Ejaculation Frequency. And you have your own specific ideal ejaculation frequency, and it's going to depend on a lot of things. It's going to depend on your age, it's going to depend on your physical activity level, it's going to depend on what you do for work, it's going to depend on what your overall status is in life too. Are you on vacation, or are you in the middle of working on a big project? So ultimately, you are the only person that can figure this out, and hopefully you can use some of the tools in this video and some of the perspectives to think about this and come up with your own ideal ejaculation frequency. It's good stuff. So to look at a few different perspectives, we'll start with Taoist sexuality. And this is the tradition that comes from Mantak Chia. He's the guy that wrote the book, The Multiorgasmic Man. It's a tradition I've studied a fair amount of, and I like a lot of this Taoist sexuality stuff. I really do. It resonates with my body, and it feels good when I think about it and when I practice these practices. In their tradition, they say that the ideal ejaculation frequency for a man is dependent in many parts on his age. I'll put a little graphic up on screen from his book just so you can look at that. These are the actual figures that he talks about in his book. What I really like about this is it takes a more balanced approach to this whole ejaculation thing, in my opinion. And I'm a fan of clearing the pipes, keeping things moving, and I think ejaculation is beautiful and I love it and I love sharing it with people, and I love practicing semen retention too. Another perspective is one of the Tantra schools that I studied in. Their whole perspective on ejaculation is that you should only ejaculate when you are trying to procreate. That's it, end of story, done. And they say you should have as much sex as possible, just only ejaculate when you're trying to procreate. And whew, that's a tough pill to swallow. Some people do it. I've gone for months at a time while having sex without ejaculating, but I don't really resonate with this perspective, and I don't think it's the healthiest. I think it takes so much fucking energy to stay balanced and sane while you're doing that it's not really worth it. And I think there's a really beautifully generative experience that can happen when you have an ejaculation too, that adds magic to your life, that adds beauty, that adds ease and joy. And there are a lot of different tantric perspectives on this. There is not one thing that is Tantra. If you ask 100 different people what Tantra is, you'll get 100 different answers. So I'm just giving you an example of one particular tantric school. Ultimately, this comes from yoga. This comes from a yogic perspective. And in yoga, in Tantra, there's this thing called brahmacharya. Brahmacharya is basically this whole idea and concept of living in balance with yourself, in balance with your surroundings, and not going after instant gratification, not going after ejaculation just because it feels good, not going to eat that cake because it feels good, not going to drink excess alcohol, but really bringing your energy back into yourself and harnessing that extra energy that you would have otherwise let go through these activities. This is a fundamental concept of certain yogic philosophies and tantric philosophies, and I really resonate with this too. So this is all a bunch of stuff to consider and think about when you're trying to figure out your own ideal ejaculation frequency, your own IEF. And if you're doing a practice like semen retention or NoFap, you're going to go a little bit of time without ejaculating. And I think there is a point of diminishing returns when it comes to not ejaculating. Like if you don't ejaculate for a month, you're going to experience major benefits on that. But if you go for 2 months or 3 months, it's not like those benefits are going to keep going up. There's a sort of plateau that happens. And I think this plateau is what happens when you reach your ideal state of homeostasis internally, your ideal state of balanced and supercharged sexual energy. And it's really your responsibility at that point, once you hit that point, to put that into the world through action. Maybe that's through your business or a creative project or whatever. You know, you have to utilize that energy, put it into the world, into something that you value or believe in. And so to figure this out, do some experiments. This is really what it's going to take, is for you to experiment with your own ejaculation frequency. Try ejaculating, try going 3 days and not ejaculating until the 4th day. If that's too quick, if you notice after that 4th day you feel down, your levels of mental clarity are less sharp, your motivation is not there as much, then go for 6 days. See what that's like. Try going for 14 days without ejaculating and notice the impact on your system. This is an experiment. This is a work in progress. And if you're on vacation, you might choose to ejaculate more frequently than if you're in a work environment, or if you're in some sort of period of your life where you need to be producing. So this is all stuff to think about when you think about how often should you ejaculate. And I'll close with this one thought. That is, if you are regularly watching porn, if you're regularly masturbating and ejaculating, you're probably ejaculating too frequently. You're probably living in a state of constant ejaculation hangover, which is a state of non-peak performance, and you could probably really benefit from spreading out your ejaculations. So if you want to try the practice of semen retention, I put together an awesome and totally free 7-day semen retention challenge. There's a link to that underneath this video. Hundreds of guys have gone through it and have gotten great results even just after 7 days, so definitely check that out. If you like this video, please leave a comment below and let me know what sparked an interest for you. Click that like button because that helps more people find it. And if you want more videos like this, subscribe, give me a request. I'll see you next time. Cheers.